In this video we're going to talk about the Aroon indicator. Stay tuned. Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. So I want to talk about this indicator called the Aroon indicator. Now the Aroon indicator comes from the word Aroon, obviously, which means dawn's early light. Now I researched this kind of useful information, guys, so you don't have to. The useful stuff is going to come in a second when we can work out how we can make better trades with it. But anyway, let's look at the background of it. Let's look at how it all works, and let's see, what we can use it for. And then, guys, like with all these indicators, there's hundreds out there. We've got to pick the odd one or two that's going to suit what we're trying to achieve. This is something that measures trend strength. Oh, it's an uptrend or downtrend, whether the stock, whether the index, whether the currency pair is trending, and how strong that trend is. So it's quantifying what we can see on the chart. Very handy, very useful if that's what we're looking for. So let's have a look at it. Let's stick it on the chart here. So I've got a chart of the Dow daily chart. I'm going to stick on the Aroon indicator. There we go, it's on. Now we have two lines with Aroon. We have what's called an up line, and we have what's called a down line. Now, first of all, before we go into what each one of these is, I need to change the colors on this because straight away I'm confused. This is confusing my mind. It's telling me, the default, the up is orange, the down is blue. Whether this is like just me or not, but I like to sort of mirror what I'm looking at on my candlestick. So I'm going to change the up to my line green, my down to red, so that when I look at it, I can visualize that a lot more and say, okay, if we've got our up line is moving up, great. It makes a lot of sense for me, just for my mind. Obviously, that's the whole point of charts. You can customize it how you like. So that's what I'm going to do first of all. And the other thing I'm going to do is, that looks a bit noisy to me. Let's just bring it back to something like a 25-day, something like this, because my gut tells me that this indicator is more of a swing trading, get on the end of a long, really nice, steady trend kind of tool. Have to admit, guys, this is not something I've looked at very intensely before. I'm familiar with it. I don't think I've ever used it to make a trading decision. So I'm going to share with you now. If you're learning fresh as well, then we're both together, because I'm going to show you the kind of things that I think it's useful for, where it maybe falls down, and how perhaps we could integrate it into a trading strategy. And I may use it myself for certain circumstances. That's the whole beauty of this game, is we can pick and choose the tools that we want to use. So how does the whole thing work? Let's get on with the game. So what I've got now is I've got a 25 period, and what this is basically saying to us, it's saying, okay, it's the number of days. So a 25 period Aroon is measuring the number of days since a 25-day low for the low line, and the number of days since a 25-day high for the high line. But it's calculated with a multiplier of 100. So it's not, it oscillates between 0 and 100, but it's never going to be above 100, never going to be below 0. It's nominalized because it's, in this example, it's 25, which is what we've got it set it to, minus the days since the 25-day high divided by 25 multiplied by 100. The calculation doesn't matter so much in terms of, we just want to know exactly what it's telling us. That's really what it's telling us. And what it's telling us is, hey, this trend is starting, and that's where this the word Aroon comes from, which is like the new dawn's early light, to try and give us the idea that the trend is starting. So the trend is starting, and how strong is that trend? So we've got a couple of phases that appears to be what's happening with this. Is that phase number one, we get a cross from the up line. Let's say the example of an uptrend. Let's keep it simple, and we can reverse it for a downtrend. We get across, the up line crosses above the down line. In other words, we start to get a point now where we're getting more highs than lows. We're getting more fresh X-day highs than we are lows, and then the up line is going to go to 100. It's going to max out. In other words, it's going to have multi highs. If you think about a trend, a trend is a consistent up trend. Is just like new high, new high, new high, new high. The stronger the trend, the more new highs, new X-day highs we have, and so that's represented, as you'd expect, in this Aroon indicator by just literally hammering itself at the 100. Okay, so if we have kind of a little blip off and we kind of have a couple of day lows, it will back off. And ultimately, you can have the scenario where, if we start chopping, then these things are going to move quite erratically, because it's going to be new high, new low, and then we can see that it's not really a trending environment. But if it's trending, the first stage we want to look for is the cross from the upper The up line crosses the down line. They want to see it cross like a midpoint, and the midpoint that is the obvious midpoint here is to have about 50. So 50 is going to give us an idea that let me just stick it in 50 exactly, as I like to have it accurate. Okay, that's really telling us, okay, things are picking up now. And okay, obviously you're going to get scenarios. I'm looking at this one here, a great example where you cross the 50 before you cross that. But this was an extreme example, wasn't it? This day was an extreme example. But the idea is that, hey, while the trend is strong, the Aroon's going to be up. So if it crosses that down line, it crosses above 50, then it goes to 100. There's your 3 phases. The idea is to go long or cover your short at any point of those that you think obviously is going to be later on in the move when it's up at 100, but you're going to have more confirmation that the trend is solid. So let's look at this chart on the Dow here and just see what's gone on. So we crossed above it here. We're holding at highs. You can see we're putting in new highs, new highs, new highs. Here we kind of chop around a bit. Let me zoom in a bit for you guys so we can see. Here we kind of chop around a bit, and that causes the Aroon down to spike up, because actually now we start to make new 25-day lows, that kind of thing, and it just giving us a bit of a chop indicator. But then we push back up. The Aroon down goes back down to 0, indicating there's no real selling pressure. Aroon up starts to push back to 100, indicating new highs, new highs, new highs, new highs. In this case, 25-day highs, because that's what we've got it set to. And then it just stays there and stays there. Now, when we're sitting there nicely and we're chugging along, so the idea being is that we'd stay long, and we'd probably want to hold it until that Aroon up came down through that 50 line or the midpoint line. As soon as he did that, it will be a case of this is probably now the trend is unwinding. It's not as strong. There's not as much strength in there. We want to get rid of it. So we come out of that position there, and then if we consider in a short, if we had a short idea, the idea would be to to be going short when the Aroon down was spiking up, and then coming out obviously when it spiked down below 50. So if we're literally going to do that, we'd be going short here, and then we'd be coming out here. And obviously that case is a small profit or small loss or a scratch trade. So it is what it is. But that's the theory of it. The theory of it is the strength of the trend. Let's go on the start of the trend, the medium kind of push the trend, and then coming out when the trend is unwinding. So I think it's a nice little tool actually. I quite like it. If you look at it, does pretty much mirror trend strongly, and you can see that area that we were talking about there, that chop that we just talked about that perhaps were going short. If you go long and we do that cross again, so we went long as we crossed the up, crosses above the down, we would be staying long pretty much if we're using that strict criteria all the way up to this point here when we cross down below the 50 to about here, which is not a bad little thing. And I guess it's about the time period as well, several months move, nice little uptrend. This is where this indicator comes into its own, a nice steady thing. If you've got a commodity that's just grinding lower, the Aroon is just constantly with the down line will be up at highs 100, little blips off it, but you're not going to get a push back down below the 50 level until the kind of thing is wearing out a little bit. So that's the Aroon indicator, guys. I learned a little bit from this. I hope you did too. Maybe you can use it in your trading if you think that's quite interesting. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. See you in the next one. Bye bye.